So let's just get into the second reason why I feel as though I'm super excited about the release of my new book, my first book. The fact that not only did I experience that transition or transformation out of a toxic, relationship, but also coming out of the toxic, space, I'd experienced a lot of insecurities. Just the space where I felt like I had failed in relationships, the space where I felt like I went in, one way and I came out a different way. When I tell you insecurity had me, like, insecurities from not being able to lose my baby weight. That thing, it dragged me, because during my pregnancy with my oldest daughter, I had gained only 25, I want to say like 25 pounds during my entire pregnancy, because I was slim. And of course, coming from college, doing all that walking and all the stuff, staying in shape, it'll do it to you. But I hadn't gained much weight. But afterward, I didn't know like what it meant to have a baby and go through the transitions and the transformation and your body settling and all of the things. And so I was extremely insecure about that, just gaining weight and not being able to be in control of the things that I took pride in, because I was out here. But no, all seriousness, I was like, okay, I'm that girl, and I still am. But it took a lot of self-work after, coming out of a relationship that I wanted to last, forever, and now having to set different goals and talk to myself differently and be more uplifting and encouraging to myself. And so I briefly talk about the insecurities that I had. Mind you, those are the insecurities of 2015, 16, 17. The insecurities that I have now are different, and I'll get to that in a later video. But I just feel like throughout the process of growing and becoming someone else, or a newer version of yourself, a healthier version of yourself, you have to go through the things where you have to experience the loss and learn to build after the loss, right? For the longest time, I was afraid to build or to rebuild after I had lost. I felt like I had lost myself. I felt like I was losing my mind. I felt like I had lost, friendships. I felt like I was just in this ongoing losing spiral. But yet I still had my job. My daughter was, good. I was able to take care of all of the things. And then I really started losing, because in 2017, I had started experiencing grief at my adult age. Like, when you're a child and you go through the motions of losing someone, and I'm not speaking like specifically like a parent, like mother, father, not that, because as a child, you will be impacted heavily by those types of things, in my opinion. Grandparents as well. But like in my adulthood, and I started to experience grief and loss of, relationships with family members, that thing hit me differently. And 2017, early 2017, I had experienced the loss of my uncle, who he was so, just so prevalent. Like, that one person who was there, who happened to be my only uncle. Well, he was my great uncle's, my grandmother's brother, my only uncle that I grew up with. And just to experience that, I was like, dang, that's a loss. And then I thought about, like how good of a childhood I had, where I could experience him and the lessons that he had taught me and the things that he had given me over the years that he poured into me, right? And then I worked through that. And by September of 2017, I had lost my grandfather, who was like my dad, because my dad had been incarcerated majority of my life. And so experiencing that loss, it broke my heart to the point where I was showing up, but I knew I wasn't myself. And it took some time to get there. And so the loss of my grandfather helped me segue into going to church and becoming, the more frequent churchgoer. And then becoming that frequent churchgoer, I started falling in love with church, with the concept and the idea. But more than anything, I started reading the Bible. My grandfather was one of the ones who would call me every week and be like, "Hey, did you make it to church today?" And he just really, wanted to instill some good principles and morals, and, give me the foundation to keep the foundation, going in a steady way. Because by this time I had already had my first child, and to not, have a foundation that was solid. For one, I was just coming out of a relationship, so he knew that, and he like, "Look, you got to go back. You got to go back. You have to continue to build." And so having to start, dealing with grief after experiencing the loss of a relationship that was near and dear to my heart, and was one of the most intimate relationships that I've had, I was like, some type of way I have to continue to build, or learn how to build. And I have to learn how to, encourage myself. Where the affirmations got to come in, where I actually do have to look in the mirror and say, "You know what, Jay? You are so beautiful. You're beautiful." Where I had to stand back and I'm like, I don't look the same. Like some of the things that I went to, like I have scars, and I just had to look and I'm like, you are still beautiful, And so that's another reason why I feel like this book is it's exactly what I needed to put out there. Because some days you realize, like, you show up for people on these social media platforms and you want to be so polished and, have everything intact, and you want everything to be perfect. And the reality of it is we all have our own stories. And if you didn't watch yesterday's video, yes, I went through a terrible toxic relationship, and I was still able to come out on the other side. And then having to face those insecurities and then go right into grief. Like, I've been in and out of some things, but the thing about it is I've been going through it. Like, I'm able to see that every suffering season that I go through, I'm going through it. I'm not there for a long time. I'm not going to sit and, soak, and I'm not doing all of that, but I am going to go through it. And I just wanted to let you guys know that whoever you are that has experienced insecurities, because we all have our flaws, and we're all, facing something internally that we don't share with people. I've been through it. When it comes down to grief, I've made poor decisions just based off of my emotions and my feelings towards grief. And I'll talk about that a little bit more too, but I really go in deeply about that in the book, how grief has caused me to grow. It literally pushed me through everything that you all are able to see on a daily basis from me. So whoever you are, go through it. That's all. Just go through it, and don't go through it with a sad heart. Go through it expecting to come out on the other side, because you will come out on the other side. eventually, because time allows you to go through those things and build your endurance for things to change.